host, Jean Newell. And you've come to the right place because this show brings experts together to discuss everything real estate, from foreclosures to Feng Shui. And in the studios with me today is my co-host, Jonathan Lack. Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Jean. Thanks for having me back.
Yes, and quickly to introduce Jonathan, he is a wealth of information. He is as the owner of Waterview Title Services, also Waterview Realty, and partner or co-owner of how would you describe that, of Lack & Lack Chartered?
The attorney for Lack & Lack Chartered.
Okay,
owner.
Attorney, owner. Okay, and Lack & Lack Chartered is lawyers who specialize in real estate and real estate transactions and all kinds of things that we might highlight a little bit about that. But today's show is very cosmic, and we have a guest that's going to be calling in just a few moments, and that is Elaine Bartlett, and she has a show right here on Talk Network Radio on Tuesdays at 3:00 called The Purple Portal, which I'm glad I was able to say that right. And she's going to be a wealth of information because there's so much more involved in buying and selling real estate than you would think. Sometimes it might just be the knob on your front door that turns someone off. And we're going to be talking more about that with Elaine in just a couple minutes. But Jonathan, you and I together have a lot of years involved in real estate. And I thought it might be beneficial if people kind of knew what was going on. And I know this show is sponsored by the Florida's Hardest Hit program. We talk about it almost every week. But let's, again, with just a sentence or two, let people know we're trying to get the word out. If you or someone you know is in financial straits right now, having trouble paying their mortgage payment, this is the project or program for you. This is a state-run project, and they can get it more information, and Jonathan will tell you all about it. Take it away, Jonathan Lack.
All right. Thank you, Jean. The Florida Hardest Hit Fund program is a federally funded state program that assists unemployed or underemployed homeowners with their mortgage payments. So if you've lost your job and you're having trouble making your mortgage payment, the program is designed to assist you during your period of unemployment. The best way to find out about the program would be to go to our website at lacklaw.com. That's LACKLAW.com. Click on the link in the middle of the page for the Florida Hardest Hit program, and that will bring you to the official website, which will provide all the information. You can also reach out to our office at area code 321-953-5115, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have and assist you with in your time of need while you're seeking employment.
I know, Jonathan, you've also experienced some of these things. You counsel people when they come into your office with a lawyer's hat on, not necessarily always a real estate agent's hat, because sometimes people have a different circumstances. Perhaps they've had a death in the family, and they want to pass the home through the children, and maybe it's not in a probate or it's not in a trust, and you can do some different things there or advise them. So there's all kinds of ways and reasons why someone might want to seek out some advice from a real estate attorney as opposed to a real estate agent. You want to touch base on a few of those things that might be of interest to our listeners?
Oh, sure. I thought there was a question following up. Yeah. Again, I do wear many hats. I am a real estate attorney, a real estate broker, and also have a title insurance company. And each of those entities provide a different service in the real estate transaction. As an attorney, it goes beyond just transactional work. Of course, I advise clients. Every client is different. Every situation is different. So it starts with a consultation where I sit down and meet with the clients, find out what their needs are. Sometimes somebody will come to me wanting to sell a house because they think they can't afford it anymore. And there are programs such as the Hardest Hit Fund program, or there's also a related program called the Principal Reduction Program. And that's designed to reduce the debt against your home. Again, a government program, and you can reach out to our office for more information. The different clients have different needs. So you meet with them, you find out what their needs are. If their goal is simply to sell their home, then I can put on the real estate hat and list the property for sale and sell it. But if it turns out that their needs are something different, then we can provide that information as well.
Exactly. It's much more complicated than it ever was before. I can remember selling real estate was quite simple, and even if you wanted to sell your home, you could get away with selling it yourself if you absolutely had to. But nowadays, I would never advise anyone to sell their home, which we call for sale by owners, or FSBO for short. Or as a buyer, I wouldn't even consider finding something that was a for sale by owner. And the reason I say this is because I have seen firsthand some of the predicaments. Let's just talk about a seller. You've got nowadays, there's so many different scams and different things going on. Are you going to want to open your house to just anyone walking in? Are they canvassing your place? Are they really legitimate? Can they even afford to buy your home? You don't know when you're selling it yourself because you can't have control over that person coming into your residence. Have you seen that as well with any sales that you've had in the past, that people think that they might be able to talk to the seller and get a better deal, but in reality it comes back to haunt them?
Yeah, I do represent a lot of clients who do the for sale by owner. And those circumstances, it is very important to have an attorney or title company involved in the transaction because somebody still has to prepare the paperwork. Somebody still has to do the title search and ready it for closing. So the situations where a for sale by owner typically works best is when a seller already has a buyer, somebody they know, somebody's been referred to them, etc. But for those out there trying to sell the house on their own and not use a licensed real estate agent, while I understand the intention of trying to save on real estate commissions, a good real estate agent will almost always earn their commission, often by getting a higher price for the house than the FSBO, the for sale by owner seller, can get on their own, and that's just through good marketing and skills and experience that a real estate agent has. But to the point you're making, a real estate agent who's bringing clients to view a home will typically vet them in some regard before they bring them to the home. And they will typically accompany, or they will always accompany them to the home. So you have some professional there who's a licensed professional who is showing your home for you. And again, it helps prevent some of the things you raised as a concern, both criminal intent in a variety of different ways, be it theft or violence or any of the other things we wouldn't want to speak to. Right. But a real estate agent will assist and prevent those things from happening.
Exactly. And as we're just speaking from a seller's point of view right now, because there are so many things out there, you would never open your door to strangers, and yet they feel like, call and sign the number and they invite people in. They can't sit there and try to qualify that buyer walking through. That buyer's not going to want to share their financials with them. But if that buyer had been to a real estate office and had a real estate buyer's agent, they would at least have gotten them pre-qualified. So they know that if they're taking them into a $400,000 home, they have the means to purchase that home. So from a seller's point of view, that's, to me, very dangerous because you can't be all places, and we hear about this all the time. Also, you just don't know who's coming in. They tend to split up, and the husband goes one direction and the wife goes another, and the next thing you know, you're maybe have something disappear while you're showing it yourself. Now, flip side of that, as buyers going in, and we see this on TV from time to time, and it's kind of frightening as well. There's people that put a for sale sign in a yard, and they don't even own the home. They've found ways to get into a vacant house, or they're renting a house, and they decide they're going to try to sell it, try to get some cash up front from someone, and then they disappear. And they don't even get close to the closing. So there's so many things out there to worry about. Just avoid all that. Get a professional. It's well worth your time and energy on that. So we've been talking about buyers and sellers, how to protect yourself, how to make sure that you've got the right type of agent working for you. And kind of quickly, before we bring Elaine Bartlett on, let's talk a little bit, Jonathan, about the difference between what they call a buyer's agent and a seller's agent, and why you would need one or the other.
Okay. Well, in the real estate profession, we're dealing with licensed real estate agents. There are typically, the terminology is very confusing because the listing agent, that's the person who is listing the property, putting it on typically the multiple listing service and advertising to sell the property for the seller. Then you have the terminology is they call it the selling agent, but the selling agent is actually the person who has brought the buyer to the table. So
Right.
for purposes of this conversation, we'll call it the selling. The listing agent is the one representing the seller, and the buyer's agent, if you will, representing the buyer. In real estate, they can often be single agents where they're only representing one party, or transactional brokers where they're actually representing the transaction. And without getting technical, the punchline is that a buyer having an agent representing them is going to be looking out for their interest and negotiating to their best, to their benefit. Whereas if you're dealing with a transaction broker, they will often be, again, they're trying to get the deal put together, but they're really working for the transaction, not for an individual party. So it is good for a buyer to have a buyer's agent so that they know somebody is being loyal to them and looking out for their best interest.
Exactly. Now, there's no upfront money for that. A lot of people think, well, if I get a buyer's agent, I'm going to have to pay them by the hour, or I'm going to have to give them some kind of a deposit. No, that's all taken care of at the closing. But I always say, if you're going to go out there shopping for real estate, find a good real estate agent that's familiar with your communities that you're looking for. And some people ask me, well, how do I find a good agent? Of course, you can call us and we'll refer you to one of our agents that it specializes in the area you're looking at. But here's some of the things that you might want to ask if you're looking for a buyer's agent. You want somebody, of course, working exclusively for you. And it doesn't cost anything to have a buyer's agent. And you want someone that is going to work as a team effort. So what we're trying to say is if you do find that person, a lot of times it comes from referrals, or perhaps you've met someone in an open house, and a lot of it is kind of like dating in a way. You've got to find someone you're going to be comfortable with, because you're going to spend a lot of time with this person. If you don't like their personality, if you don't particularly like them, find an agent that you feel comfortable with, because they're going to not only be advising you, you want somebody that you know that you can open up and talk to on a very personal level, because we're talking about the biggest investment that you can make. And we want to make sure that you find somebody that you like, know, and trust, which is what they say in any kind of a business you're looking for. So some of the things you might want your agent to do is to be available to work within your schedule. There's so many people. And again, I always hate to, I don't want to say I put down people that are new in the real estate business, but a lot of them get their license, but they still have a full-time job somewhere else. That may or may not be the person that you want representing you. If they're working 40 hours somewhere else, how are they going to be available to do the searches, the previews, the education, the various things that you really need to know? So those are just some of the things, and we'll provide some more tips and so forth as we go into this show and next week's show. But we have Elaine Bartlett on the line right now, and I want to talk to Elaine because she is a wealth of information. Elaine, are you on the line?
I am, Jean. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. It's great. We have about 16 minutes left in this particular show, but I wanted to tell our listening audience your background, because you have your show Tuesdays at 3 p.m. right here on Talk Network Radio. It's called The Purple Portal, and it says, tune in and be tuned up. Can you tell the audience a little bit about your show and what you handle there? You're the Cosmic Queen.
Well, I've been being first a cosmic princess and then arrived at queendom some which way. I think it's called a lot of years of being very interested in everyone else's well-being, including my own, and trying to assist people to get healthy, good information about how they can create a life that is healthy and happy and creative and prosperous. You know, we need a full cup of everything. So my background is a numerologist and an astrologer, and in the past many years as a Feng Shui a Feng Shui gal, and I've traveled throughout the country teaching and lecturing and had businesses up in the Northeast. They were actually called the Purple Pair